My GM mode is back in 2K25. There is a ton of new things. For example, brand new online is available now in the game. You can play online, offline, but there are limitations to this just with the online piece alone. One of the things I learned is that you can't use custom GMs, custom rosters, you can't play matches or spectate it. It's simulate only. So this is where I had just one of the issues out of the gate with my GM mode. There's a lot of stuff in here that I saw that I'm like, and I played and I was like, this is really good. And there's some really great updates for existing features. But online my GM was one of the things that they talked about in, like, they showed off in the trailer for early footage. One of the things that they wanted to highlight that this was coming to the mode, and it's not exactly what I think players want. I think that they want to be able to add a friend to it and actually play the matches together, or even just spectate the matches. That's not there. What you're going to do is you're just going to simulate the matches that you have with your online partner. One of the pluses that they have added with this online component is that you can switch between online and offline for your existing save. So if you are playing with somebody online and we're done playing together, you back out of my GM, out of your save, go back into it, and you can switch it so that it's against the CPU. And likewise, if you have it CPU save of your GM season, then you could switch it over to play with somebody online. So we do have that as an added benefit. And as you can see, there's more GMs to be able to choose from. You got Nick Aldis, you got CM Punk, Mr. Fuji's in there, HBK, and more. You also have the shows that are there to pick from as your show. Raw, SmackDown, NXT 2.0, Black and Silver, as well as NXT Mutinies in there. If you guys are looking to have a little bit of fun, I suggest check out Polybuzz. This thing's a lot of fun. You can go through and you can set up your own character, give them their own profile, male, female, whatever you want. You can go and have different chats with all these different AI bots. So I can go through and talk to Homer Simpson if I want to, and I can see how he's doing in his whole day. But different categories, from anime to movies and TV and celebrities, you can talk to just about anything you want. And all these different AI characters, you can actually, they got little attitudes in them too. I talked to an apple for a bit. I don't know what his deal was. I think he's hurting the other foods out there.
Oh, hey there. Glad to see you're back. I've been keeping an eye on things around here. Everything is good. Just a bit quiet and boring today. Nothing exciting happened, except for a little incident with a cucumber earlier.
Like, for example, I searched up the Avengers because I'm a big fan, and I was able to go through and have a dinner party with the Avengers, and then I talk trash about Wanda's cooking. There's a huge level of customization available for you. Hey, do me a favor and hit the link in the description to set it up for yourself. Use my code ASSEMBLE by putting it here into the search bar. You'll have no problems whatsoever, and just have a good time and be a little silly. When you set up my GM, and if you're existing, you know what I'm talking about here as I'm showing it on screen, but if you're new, there's a lot of details in my GM mode. Like, it's very deep. It's a deep system that you're going to navigate through. It's not like universe mode where you just set up all the matches however freely you want. It is very much a different mode. So with the session settings that you set up at the beginning, you can still customize your entire roster the way you want. You can set the budgets you want. They have increased the budgets this year, so we have up to $4 million to work with for your budget out of the gate. What's new is going to be the win conditions. So for your whole season of my GM, you can win based off of trophies, or you can win based off of fans. So you can decide if whoever's got the most fans earned by the end of the season is declared the winner, or you can select by who's got the most trophies earned at the end of the season. They're winning the whole thing. I like this because I would rather go by like the fan support, for example. The other new addition is a booking timer. Now this comes in handy when you're going to play against somebody online. You can set a booking timer to like 10 minutes, for example, and it will count down the clock. And what happens is that you have that allotted time. Like if you want 1 minute to book your show, that's what the countdown timer will do. And you can set penalties to go with it, like reducing the amount of fans you have or taking away fans from your show because you went past the timer and the time was up. I like this because especially if you are going head to head with people, it makes it really silly that you're going to have like 3 minutes on the timer to book your entire show, do your trades, manage everything to get that entire episode of SmackDown done, ready to go, and move on to the next one. Now with the draft, you can see that it looks very much exactly the same as what we've had last year, but they made improvements to the draft that I'm happy to see. Number one, they've increased the amount of superstars that you can draft to your show. You can draft up to 20 superstars to your show instead of last year where it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 12 that you could draft. So your show and your roster was so small. And what I noticed, like playing last year as much as I did, I hit injuries all the time. Like half my roster was on the bench and I have nobody to replace them with the existing roster. So I'd always have to go in and try to trade somebody or add somebody to my roster, contract them. Now we have an increased roster. It feels more fleshed out. It also helps because I'm somebody who has played my GM a fair amount. It helps when you want to be able to have a proper tag team division. because I just never feel like I want to do tag teams in my GM because I can never draft enough people to make it worth my while, or it's one person gets injured and then the whole tag division is a mess. So with an increased budget and being able to draft more wrestlers to your show, and they've also fixed the draft pools. So one thing is that the AI is tuned to be a lot smarter this year. They're smarter with how they draft. They will be more inclined to draft like tag teams together. They would go and draft the Usos or the Street Profits. They will try to draft them accordingly. But when you go in the draft pool and you create a custom draft pool, now it's smarter and it's actually tuned so that it will let you draft everybody you have assigned as available. What was happening before, if you're not familiar, is that you would go and create a custom draft pool of all these superstars that are active to draft, and you would select Cody, Roman, Seth, Punk, etc., all these top names, and then you would go to the draft, and then some of them weren't there. Like Roman Reigns would just never show up for me to be available. This has been fixed. Now they will show up when you create that custom draft pool. So when you add those pieces together alone just to get to like the draft and set up your roster, you're already in a healthier position with this thing. You'll have more leftover budget, assuming that you're not just blowing it all on like 5 people, but it will be tuned better and it's got better balancing. Assigning champions is the same as before. One negative is that you don't have the new women's US and IC titles in there. Obviously, the game was developed a little while ago and then the titles came out, so I'm guessing they just didn't have enough time to put them in. My hope is that they will patch them in this year early on to get them into the mode, into my GM, so that you will see an additional title in there. The menus, the layout of how everything operates, very much the same structure as last year, which is fine with me. It's very clean and organized. This time it's blown up a little bit bigger. They have kind of, I don't know, streamlined it. It just looks aesthetically, it's cleaner to navigate around, to see everything in bigger text. Probably just because my eyes are tired and old that I can't see everything anymore, but it is actually looking a lot better and easy to navigate. Because I'm thinking of people that are like maybe new to my GM, they dabbled in it once or twice, and you're like, I don't know if this is my thing, or maybe for some people they're just like, this seems overwhelming, there's too much to do. The layout of it and how you go about building your show week to week, it is an easier flow and you get the hang of it very quickly. If you're seasoned to it, then you got no problems, you're fine. You are still doing things like starting off in the high school gym. You are going to have your remaining budget. You will have the assets that you need to collect to be able to unlock the next level and rank up of your promotion, your marketing, advertising, all those elements, and the arenas themselves, doing the arena bonuses. All of that is still the same. One critique and one bit of feedback I do have is I wish my GM mode had a free mode. And what I mean is have the options when you're setting it up in the very beginning to do like just a regular traditional MyGM mode, the way it is set up, but also allow players to have free mode where I can have an uncapped budget. I unlock all of the arenas to begin with so that like assets are not applicable, and I can just start off in a Coliseum or a giant arena right away. So you can just kind of like go bananas and just have it the way you want, or I can go back and I can get the proper rewards and go through a proper structured MyGM experience for a full season. I wish that they did just throw in there, just be like, hey, here's a free option, go crazy. If you just want to draft the most legendary roster of all time, then you can set it up that way and you're always playing on SmackDown. I wish they would add that in. There's also now up to 10 PLEs that are supported in your calendar going across the entire season. They've added 20 new local talents to the roster, so you have a choice of 10 males, 10 females. If you want to be able to have them drafted or added to your roster, they're usually the ones you want to, like the local talent and the indie wrestlers, you want to be able to add to your roster to kind of fill it out or to utilize when a lot of your roster gets injured. I think it's just me. I think I just damage everybody in hardcore matches. Another thing they tweaked is that for go-home shows to a PLE the 3rd week in your calendar, you can resolve rivalries there instead of always being stuck on just the PLE to resolve the rivalry. If their ratings, if their level for the rivalry is like at 3 and 4, then if they're at that level, you can resolve the rivalry on the final like go home SmackDown, for example, before the PLE. This can free up some of your space for matches you want to do. So it's a little thing, but it does help you when you're trying to, you know, set up your rosters and set up your matches and rivalries going forward. GM Assistant is back, so where you can toggle and pull up the whole menu, but now they've added the options for online capabilities so you can easily, quickly navigate there. The GM Assistant was something that I really liked from last year because you're not toggling between multiple menus. You just pop it up on screen, and this time you can also go and you can look at the opposite brand's roster and you can see exactly what they got going on. So you know who's gonna be coming up for a trade. You might have a better idea of just who they're going to utilize in their matchups. Power cards are back, but this time you can actually transfer them between seasons. You wrap up a whole season and maybe you have some really good power cards that you wish you could use. They will now transfer over to the next season, no problem. Speaking with the developers, they talked about how the tuning for the AI has been greatly enhanced and greatly improved across the board. They won't just throw power cards at you like in the first couple of weeks. So if you've played MyGM in 24, you might have experienced where the draft is over, you get started, and then Adam Pearce is just nailing you profusely with power cards and just dummying half your roster, like 6 people get benched. So that's not happening anymore. It's going to be tuned to be a lot smarter, and it won't just be a power card mess. There's more emphasis on managing rosters. The morale is being tuned as well. Logistical tuning is there for the economy and the fans. Those tuning elements have been included. They've been updated. And even if you're going into extreme difficulty, that has also been finely tuned. Now, I was told by the developers that what you will notice is overall, there is going to be more of a challenge in MyGM this year. That scared me a little bit because I already found MyGM sometimes a little tricky. Like I gotta go down to baby mode. I gotta go to easy mode sometimes. But they were saying that there is gonna be more challenges included in here where you're gonna have to really take your time as you're going through and building your roster and deciding what matchups you're gonna do. And that leads into one of the newer things that they've added in, which is going to be cross-brand PLEs. So in the example I have here is that it got to Hell in a Cell. And when you get to the Hell in a Cell PLE, you are now going to have it where your first match, your opener, and your main event are going to be cross-brand PLEs. You have your wrestler from your show and their wrestler from their show will pop up, and they will go head-to-head in a match that you can play or spectate or simulate. The middle of the card is still going to be your matchups, your rivalries that you're running. But now they're doing it this way where there is the cross-brand element. With this, I'm not sure I like it. I want to play through an entire season and then properly review it. But I just, at first glance, I'm kind of like, I feel like I wish I could just do it my way and just run it as a regular Hell in a Cell with 5 matches on the card and they're for everyone on my show. The positive of doing the cross-brand PLE is that you will have the opportunity, if you beat them in those matches, there's going to be an outcome there that's going to hurt the opponent. So if you win at Hell in a Cell, then you're going to give like exhaustion to that player, and then they're basically going to be useless for the next few weeks. So there's consequences out of it, which is a big plus. But the downside is that if you were somebody that's like, I want to just run my show the way I want with my roster, you don't seem to be able to do that now. Not fully anyways, but the middle of the card, it will allow you to do that as normal. And frankly, I mean, I guess one of the things is that you're going to have only a couple of matches that will have rivalries going on, so you can kind of continue those or finish those up. So it's not a bad thing, it's just different. And I just want to know what players are going to think once they play it. One of the other concerns I do have is with, and this is a thing that's happened with every year with MyGM, is I guess the balance and the tuning of doing a matchup on your show on like any given week. So for example, so you have SmackDown and your main event match is going to be Cody versus Roman. And you do it in a one-on-one match. It ends up getting like a 2-star rating. Now, to be fair, if you haven't built the rivalry out, then your star rating is typically lower. I just wish that it was tuned better to be like, hey, these are, maybe it's just the popularity needs to be increased, but like these two are huge stars. Why is it just the 2-star rating? And then you want to go and put them in a gimmick match like a Hell in a Cell on a random Friday to boost that, but then you're going to risk more injury to them. So there's something in there that I wish that they would take a look at to see, is there any way to balance it better where you do have these heavyweights, these large stars that are going to be main event stars, and you're not even cracking like a level 3-star rating. There's more trophies, there's more rewards to collect during this. Your interactions that you have with like Triple H and the rest of the roster, all that text and dialogue has been updated too. It's been refreshed, so you're getting new interactions coming at you. And from what I played, it's a lot of the same as last year, and that's not a bad thing. I think this year it looked like it was a lot more of, we've done a lot of fine tuning under the hood. So you have like a smoother, better, consistent experience and a few other things that have kind of been added into the mode. There are things that I feel are missing now that we are in the 22, 23, 24, 25, the 4th generation of MyGM being there. It's been built upon every single year, and that's fantastic. But the stage I wish we were at now, I really wish that we were at 6-man matches. That Royal Rumble was in there, that proper Money in the Bank was in there, King of the Ring. Those things are in universe mode, and I understand they're different modes, but it's wish list stuff, right? I wish that those things were in there. They did add new match types. You do get Gauntlet, you get Gauntlet Eliminator, you do get the Underground match. Those have been added into MyGM. So those are awesome. But I do feel that because we were so many years into this mode, specifically making a comeback, we should be at a stage where we get a Royal Rumble match, get our winner, and then they automatically are pushed to WrestleMania, and that rivalry starts. Somehow those two dots have to kind of connect. Money in the Bank, same thing. Give us that option to have a 4-way Money in the Bank or the 6-man and have it. You're kind of wanting to be able to, at this point, to use all of the different matchups and put them into MyGM. That Elimination Chamber is the same deal. We should be able to have a chamber match on that card as a main event and make it cost a buttload of money within MyGM, but being able to do that matchup, I think that those things, they should have been there this year, and they were ones that I was really hoping for. You do have all of the promo aspects of it, so when you're setting up your weekly show and you want to be able to advertise, run a charity, run a promo, I wish that was expanded on a little bit more, not to add in more categories necessarily. I kind of wish, or I hope for the future anyways, that you would get a promo, like be able to select a promo with John Cena and then have a cutscene of John Cena doing a call out or just running a standard promo. I wouldn't even expect anything to be crazy fancy, but just to be able to have that, to have more interaction within the matches, because you are building out this entire show every single week, and it'd be fun to be able to have the cutscenes of him cutting a promo and he's in the gymnasium, and then like 4 months later, you're in the stadium. But things that were on like my wish list to get fixed and updated, things like drafting the proper roster, having the roster size increase, tuning the AI. If you're somebody that plays this mode, you will probably appreciate that those things have been updated and corrected. But I do think a lot of players will look at this and say, there's not a lot of changes here on the surface. MyGM is a different experience than that of like universe mode, where you're just having that sandbox and do whatever you want. So when you are wanting to be somebody that's like, I'm managing contracts and I can do the trades, all of that is still in the game, and it works very, very well this year. But give MyGM mode a try. I always tout it every year because I always enjoy it and I have a good time with it. But if you're looking for more impressions on the game, click this video right here because it's universe mode and going through everything that I experienced, all the details I found. Have a great day. See ya.